So that was really good. It's good insight from both our side and your side. Now, I told you that was a two-part question because I'm able to now roll this into question number two. Now, if there was one thing that you can just take back, like put in your suitcase, bring it back to where you guys are, to your part of the country or your part of the world, and to, let's say, gift it to your community. Wish you can, oh man, this is it, and I want to bring this back home. What would it be?
Can I ask you to elaborate the question? Is
Okay.
it specific to the Krytac on a meeting or Japan?
It could be anything around Japanese airsoft. It could be the no running. It could be the peak shooting. It could be anything. What was something that you've experienced here during your short time of playing airsoft, being part of that Krytac owners meeting, meeting some of the Japanese players? It could be anything. What was the one thing that stood out to you? Be like, man, I would love to take this type of experience back home. Then we could start with Jono.
I know exactly what it is. The raffle. Oh my God, like the way, the rock, paper, scissors, like everybody, and you don't understand, like there's no raffle tickets, there's none of this stuff. Everybody's like, the leader gets up, rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and then if you don't win, you sit down. And then you rock, paper, and it's just eventually the last person standing, and everybody does it. Everybody obeys the rules, nobody cheats. That, like, God bless my home country. I'm American, you cut me open, I'll bleed red, white, and blue, but brother, that ain't gonna fly in the States. But I would
try it one time.
I would try, yeah.
Try one time.
You'd have to have a camera running, like, all right, who changed theirs, you know, like, oh, I meant this, you know.
There's 3 dudes fighting now.
Yeah, and it goes down, and then the last 2 standing, they fight each other. Yeah, and it's such a cool thing because usually the raffles are like, I don't know. I feel like the raffles in the States are just like when you go to a game, they're like, all right, so today we have our sponsor, UCC Black, and they're going to be giving away a can of coffee. Okay, cool. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, cool. Here you go. Bye. See you later. Yeah. Right? And it's not as interactive. It's not as like this. There's like, it's not as fun. Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's got to be the raffle. I know. I'm being silly. I mean, there's so many things I've seen and playing and all that. I'm sure we're going to get the answers from everybody else, but the raffle is just amazing, and I think that maybe is like the heart and soul of like the whole underpinning is like there's honor and everybody's honest, everybody plays by the rules, and that raffle just like is a big underline for all the other stuff that I'm sure.
What you always say, this is airsoft. Call your own hit.
Yes.
That fairness, you know.
Be honest, be fair, and that's it. Just
It's a game of integrity, isn't it?
Yeah.
For me personally, I think is the social aspect because I run my own events, Airsofting with Friends, where I force people to socialize with each other. And you bring new players, once you socialize with them, once you give them a great experience, they're always coming back. If you're not running an event and you just try to do like social, you try to interact with people, people are very dismissive of newer players and people in airsoft. Like they will just sit in their corners in their cliques and not engage with you at all. And it's like sometimes disheartening. People come out here to this hobby, we all enjoy it. So it's always great to talk with like-minded people and get their viewpoints on things. So I think that social aspect, just having like a simple conversation can help a lot of people because you don't know what people are going through at home and they just come here to just get away from it all. So you introduce yourself, you have a simple conversation like, yo, what gun are you running? Or what movies you like? What got you into airsoft? Boom. And it like changes their whole perspective on people as a whole and airsoft. So I feel like that social aspect from here would love to just bring it there without like events, but just that social aspect, just bring it and that's it.
Since Kevin took my number one answer, I will go over to the backup answer, and that is the drive to want to be unique, either from your loadouts or from your replicas. Because I see it a lot, there are teams that will try to replicate a specific unit, or they all want to be wearing the same gear from camo to the replicas, and a lot of times it's the basic M4 setups that we see very often. However, coming here and realizing that the Krytac Vector is everywhere, and not just from this event, but a lot of people use vectors, and all sorts of other unique guns that I'd never see. Then going to the stores and seeing all the replicas that we don't even get in the United States. I really love the individuality that everyone's doing. We were seeing the Cerakoted guns all over the place that drip down into people's uniforms and such like that. I love that kind of standout stuff. And it's not like, a unique for me would be seeing like a Cold War setup or a World War I loadout or something like that. That would be unique for me in the United States. Unique for me here is seeing a guy in a Gundam suit. Think about that.
Not the cardboard.
What about you, Nora?
All right, so for me, it's actually quite similar to Jonathan's, but when he mentioned the raffle system, I was actually thinking about the core values of that. So it's that unspoken standard of courtesy. So, that integrity. It's like everyone is conforming to that. So when they're playing the rock, paper, scissors, rock, it's like no one cheats, And when you get shot, you call your hits, And if you don't yell at people, you don't shout at people, like that is something I would love to take back. So in New Zealand, I generally don't like to play with the public because of that particular reason. So when I'm playing privately, my friends all have that unspoken rule as well, right? And if we do yell at each other, we just have a beer later and it's all good. The problem is it's not the same in public. When someone's yelling at you, you get riled up, they get riled up, and it becomes a big mess. So in Japan, in Airsoft in Japan, I realized that was the unspoken standard of courtesy, and it's something I really like, and it's the one thing I would take away because, hey, we're all here to have fun, right? And if it doesn't get fun in the end of the day, what's the point of doing it? So if we can bring that back, everyone can have fun.
Yeah, I think that's a really good common theme, right? It's it's the unspoken rule of courtesy, is the willingness to participate, and the social aspect. I think that's something that also stood out to me when I first came here too as a guest, as something that I get to experience a little bit more frequently with Ryan, and Ryan can probably speak about this a little bit in more detail since he's played here for many years.
Yes. Well, and the community in general is completely different from what I've experienced in other places, and I've not only played in Osaka, I've played in Hokkaido, I've played in Kyoto, Tokyo, Hiroshima, in the mountains, random people all over the place, and I would say in general, most of the players are relatively the same when it comes to this fairness and this understanding that we're here to have fun, regardless of whether you're a 15, 20-year veteran, because real quick sidetrack is you also find people that have been in this hobby for 20, 30 years, and they're really good at it, but they don't act like I'm a level 500 wizard warlock. You're nothing to me. They actually will help people like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for 25 years. You might want to hold your gun like this, or you might want to put the stock a little closer to here, and they'll just help you out. Or they'll be like, oh yeah, those BBs, they jam up in this type of gun. I recommend you get this brand or do this and do that. And just, that's the thing, the spirit, That's the spirit, You like that whole thing where everyone's here to have fun, help each other, and have a good time, and just be honest.
It's the mentorship.
Yes.
That's something when I first started Airsoft in America, that we had, and again, I'm old, so it's been a while, like pre a lot of the forums, and I had that, and I had a lot of people that were able to teach me, and I'm not sure if that's still as prevalent today in U.S. Airsoft as it was. And you said it's still alive here.
Yeah, and I think it's very important for this hobby and this industry because any hobby or any activity thrives on new people coming in, and not only new people coming in, but them staying. So anyone can get into any hobby, but if you only stay 2 years, 3 years, and then leave, it's like more of a trend than actual hobby. But nowadays, I think that stay time length is getting longer now because we're getting better, and kind of our communities not just in Japan, but everywhere, is kind of evolving to like, hey, I've been playing for 10 years. I've been playing for 5 years. Where, 10 or 20 years ago, that was kind of unheard of. Like, oh, I've been playing Airsoft for 20 years. You didn't hear anyone. Obviously, it was made in the 80s, so there's a maximum limit,
At some point, you run out.
You're like, yes, I've been doing this 100 years ago. I started playing Airsoft. But yeah, that's what I think.
You guys have been really good with answering all these questions. So I think for the last set of questions, it's going to be something casual. Something I think will be easy for everybody. Japan. What was something during your time here, it's been a whirlwind of a trip, what was the most culturally interesting thing that you have seen or experienced? Now, we've experienced Tokyo, we've experienced some Yokohama, we've done Kyoto as well as Osaka. So,
This is, to clarify, this is Airsoft aside, correct?
this is Airsoft aside. This is culturally. What was the one thing that's like, wow, yes, this is very Japan. Something that genuinely maybe you had an idea of before you got here, and when you got here, you're like, oh wow, maybe you know what, I was wrong. This is very surprising.
Our answers are going to be crazy if you come from Jersey and you come from Texas.
So
I thought this was meant to be relaxing.
this is very relaxing. So yeah, so I'm gonna skip Jono for now because Jono's been here a few times. So I'm gonna ask.
It's unique of everyone else's.
Yeah. I'm gonna come back to returning guest,
Yeah.
Mr. Higgs, and for obvious reasons, the three of us can't answer this. So
Extra weird.
so I'm gonna start with. How about you, Kev? Kev, you want to start us off?
When we went to Kyoto and everybody's wearing the kimonos and stuff, I'm like, and they're comfortable wearing it, and with the slippers, and I'm like, those look so uncomfortable, and they're just walking around like it's regular. I'm like, no, I can't. And when we passed some of the stores, I actually felt it. I'm like, okay, there's cushion there, but again, that's uncomfortable walking with the garb on and everything. I'm like, this must be a common thing here, where it's like you have like you said, Kyoto used to be the capital of Japan, and it's like, I guess it's like a thing to do that there, and you can rent it out and everything. It's like, that's awesome. But I was like, okay, this is like their culture. This is it right here. This defines them. When I came, like, coming off the train and it's like seeing that, I was like, okay, we're in Japan. We're in Japan now. Got it.
Is anything special going on today? Right?
Wouldn't you like to wear one though? Because I know I'd love to.
Maybe with some
Kimono's
Uggs.
the other one.
Maybe with some Uggs on.
Yeah.
Something comfortable.
Yeah, those shoes are wooden.
Yeah, it's like,
They're like
no,
literally a block of wood.
yeah, it's a block of wood, but some of them have like the cushion on them.
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, some of them have the cushion. That's why I was like, I thought it was just straight wood, and I'm like, yeah, only you'll get me a block, switch it to my sneakers, something else. But that, when you actually feel them, it's actually like a layer of like cushion on it to make it still look traditional, which I thought was, everybody had their own unique styles and stuff like that. I liked it, but I knew it was just like, okay, I'm in Japan now, type thing.
I get it. Scott, what about you?
Okay, I brought this up a little bit earlier. I was saying that our answer is going to be weird because you're from Jersey, I'm from Texas. But I've never been to New York, I've never been to Jersey. I've been in the airports overlooking it. But I've never been in a place so dense. So I've always felt like I was in someone's way, or somebody was like, as soon as I left one space, they were already in that same little square inch. So that was a little interesting for me as we were walking around and you're showing us all in the crowded areas. I love tall buildings and such like that, so I was having my eyes glued to the sky most of the time. And coming from, I started filming and trying to get involved with cameras and equipment and such when I was really young, filming skateboarding and taking photos of that. And then I come here, and I know skateboarding really isn't too popular here. It's always in the parks and such because you really have a lot of respect for a lot of places around here, and you need to keep that in mind. And I'm looking around going, this would make for a great spot. Everything around here looks like something that belongs in a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game or something. All the ledges, all the curves. Like,
If only
so many people not living here. right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and make a lot of noise on the night.
I'm just thinking, it's like, man, if they allowed someone to make like some video bit here, it would be so awesome. Like, so I think that was the big culture shock for me, is everything's so dense, but it's controlled. That's what I like.
Well, for me, once again, it's the unspoken rules. For me, that was something I know a bit about, but not as much until I was thrown in the deep end here, had to figure it out myself, and I realized there's a lot of things people don't tell you here because that's their way of living, right? And you gotta figure it out. For example, like, the whole like courtesy thing, you apologize, you say thank you, you let people out, you're always in line, there's always a line, like, I just don't know how to describe it, they just form a line. Yeah, like, they're very orderly, and there's no bins, for example, but no one tells you about that. Like, it's just the way of living. So it's like,
your garbage with you.
yeah.
Your trash.
Yeah, so it's like an unspoken rule of a lot of things that has to do with like the way of living, like the courtesy, like the politeness or the orderly fashion, like getting on a train, for example, So that was really, or even purchasing items in the mall. So it was a completely new experience, and to me that was quite culturally different. And it's like, hey, I've seen bits of it, but that's Japan, but now I'm seeing much more of it. It comes in like
Yeah, it's like what you said, like the whole orderly thing, like the train situations, like yeah, no talking. Even like I'm from New Jersey, New York. When we hop on the train, people are just yelling. There's dances happening and everything's going on. It's like, yeah, tick tick, and it's like, okay. As a normal person that takes a train, headphones on. That's why I always have my headphones on. Let me stay on my phone, not pay this person any attention. But here, it's like, there's no talk. There's none of that going on. Like, you let people off the train. New York, they don't let people. Like, get me in here first. I want my spot. I want to sit down. Older people, like, there's a specific section. New York, New Jersey, we don't care. It's like, there's so much like, okay, this is how life should be. And it's not.
I've been so cautious that my phone is on silent always, because I think if my phone goes off, I'm gonna be like immediately just ejected out of the train. But it's not that extreme.
And in the Kanto region, smoking, it was like, would you know there was a no smoking rule in the city? And then we just realized there's a lot of no smoking signs in a lot of places, and no one's smoking on the streets. And you're like, Romaine needs to smoke. Where do you smoke?
And schedule organizer myself are not smoking, it's not really helping.
Oh, no. Yeah, actually, Masaki-san recommended, Google will tell you. I'm like, oh yeah. Google tells you the smoking spots, but it's funny because
That's on Google Maps?
Yeah, it's on Google Maps. You search you search smoking. Yeah, you search smoking spots and you find a place that looks like a zoo. Right? They're all closed up in one space, like zoo animals, and they're all smoking there.
No, this morning I went to McDonald's for breakfast, and it was just going into like the big shopping zone, and we round a corner, and I'm like, was there like a herd of people over there? Like, what are they giving away something? And we walk up, there's a smoking zone. I was like, oh, that's why.
And they're all behind panels?
Well, yeah, but they're behind the panels, and it's overflowed. There's so many. I think it's like the only smoking zone in that area. So
Smoking box.
yeah, but it was like the box, and it just had spilled out. So
So how about you, Jono?
well, mine's gonna be.
Said yours is weird.
But like I've been here 6, 7, 8 times now. So I'm kind of like I had that same experience that you did. The first time here, you're like, what? And the second time, you're like, I thought this was only like in the tour guides. Like there really are hedgehog cafes here, like just weird, like things like that. It is normal, and I think today, like I'm hyper specific. I would say like, for me, it's got to be the guy we saw in Yokohama in the park with the 2 owls on the stroller with the 3 chickens inside of the cart. They're just pushing along because it's a big dog park, right? Everybody's out walking their dogs. This guy's just pushing his baby, his 2 owls. They're just sitting there on the edge. He's just pushing the cart, and he's got like this baby stroller. I'm like, what's in there? It's kind of furry. I was like, oh, he's got 3 chickens in there. I was like, what is it? Look like Buddy. I'm like, what are you gonna do, right?
And I
like,
thought it was weird when I saw someone walking their hedgehog.
Yeah, we saw. There was somebody with a hedgehog. Yeah, there were a bunch of dogs around the hedgehog. It was like an animal park, but it was like bring all your animals. So that was interesting. I was like, okay, just owls on the street. This is a new one for me, and that kind of tops it. I know it's like so superficial, my answer. Everybody's like all deep, and I'm like, yo, I saw some owls. But
Dude was pushing like a baby stroller with owls and then chickens.
I got a photo. We'll have to put the photo, stitch it in. Bird guy, yeah. Bird guy.
I didn't see any of those. I'm a bit upset now.
Just walking to the Riverside Park in Yokohama.
Yeah. For me, it was just the baby strollers with dogs and cats in them.
I'm used to that. In Taiwan, that's everywhere. You like the odds of a baby being in a stroller is like this. The odds of a dog being in a stroller is like this.
ご視聴ありがとうございます。新商品やパーツ組み込み動画はこちら。
And if you guys are looking for cool gameplay and entertainment content, don't forget to check out our international channel right here. Don't forget to subscribe. Yay!